Well, it turns out I was recording it anyway. Haha.
Excellent.
So I've just recorded an hour of the videos that I've already got on my hard drive. Excellent. Good work. Right, let's see what's going on here. Right. Oh, I see. There's some sort of a... Right, I'm going to hit go. And action. Hello, everybody. Hello, folks. We're here in the post-NAMM kind of chaos here. Sonic Talk number 252. I'm Nick Batt, editor of SonicState.com, just back from NAMM. In fact, came back last night. NAMM, of course, is, I don't know to tell you, it's the biggest international music show on Earth, as it were. So I've got a couple of guests with me. I haven't got any agenda apart from all the stuff that we had recorded. I want to say hello to... Gaz Williams there, songsurgeon.co.uk, over there in Bristol, producer and songwriter based over there. Gaz, are you on your laptop or on your iMac or a Mac?
I'm actually on my brand new 17-inch MacBook Pro.
Can you tilt the lid forward for me slightly? Because your head is... That's more like it. That's it. Now you're all up together. That's a bit more like it. Thank you very much. Anyway, Gaz, for joining us. And what are you using there? Looks like a 414.
It is this 414 XLS. Yeah, great, really good mic. Very bland sounding. Works on everything.
I know the picture. I know what you're saying there. And over there also, Mark Tinley from likebeing.com, also joining us from over in Cambridgeshire. Is it Cambridgeshire or Oxfordshire? I always remember which.
Cambridgeshire.
Cambridgeshire.
Actually, Bedfordshire. I was in Cambridgeshire. I've moved a mile or two, and now
moved across the border.
Literally, yeah.
Excellent. Well,
but East still goes to school in Cambridgeshire. It takes me about 5 minutes to get there. So.
Oh, mad. Right, I think I'm just going to adjust you slightly. I still haven't quite got you just how I like you, so I'm going to just select that. There we go. See if I can get that a bit more kind of intimate.
Oh,
there we go.
You're going to hot my colour up, are you?
I'm just trying to get you a bit larger. Just increase your size. Hope you don't mind.
That's terrifying.
There are sorts of specialist adverts that charge you a fortune for that sort of service, and I've just done it with one stroke of the mouse.
Oh!
I think I should probably stop there. But anyway, so we're back.
Absolutely.
We're back from NAMM. We got back last night, or I'm back. The rest of the lads were still there. Rob and Rich, who did the guitar work and a lot of the video editing to get the stuff up quick. In fact, Rob, our new guy, was in the press room pretty much the whole time. So I want to thank him, Rob Hicks, and also Rich Beach for their continued work. Andy's still over there. I think he's larking about and having some fun because apparently the weather got a bit better. Because unfortunately on my day off, it absolutely chucked it down. And I went to Santa Monica and it was a bit like being in the Bristol shopping centre in... about the same time of year, because all the shops were the same. Santa Monica's no longer the sort of funky kind of boutique-y sort of area that I remember it as. It's now just full of chains. Nice. Everything's changed, or even the restaurants. There's Starbucks, and there's a couple of so it's a bit disappointing there. But we found a few groovy things, and I got a chance to do a bit of shopping, but not quite. I didn't get any sun, even though again I look red. But I'm going to fix that with some white balance adjustment for next time. So anyway, yes, we have Gaz and Mark here. So it was actually quite a busy show. I mean, there was a lot. I've heard people sort of saying, "Oh, there's not much going on." I would disagree. I think there was absolutely tons. And one of those is, this time there's been sort of quite a few firsts. I think one of the things I would say is it's been very iPad heavy. A lot of people using the iPad for sort of interfacing with hardware, particularly nanoKEY, actually, who did release the DL1608. Which I don't know if you saw that. I think I might be able to play a little bit of something on there. Let me see if I can. That'll be this one.
Hi, I'm Mike Martin from Casio.
That's the Casio. Here's what I was looking at. This is the DL08. I'll just give you a quick look.
I'm Ben from nanoKEY, and I'm here today to tell you about the new nanoKEY DL1608. What we have here is a 16-channel digital mixer that we've combined with the power and ease of use of an Apple iPad as the main user interface. So the mixer hardware itself is doing all the processing. We have 16 Onyx mic pre's. These are the same Onyx mic pre's as in the rest of our Onyx i series, critically acclaimed. 16 of those. We have 6 aux ends on the outputs, and then a main left-right.
I'll switch out of that, I mean, because you can watch it on the site, but that was kind of a bit mind-blowing. When Mackie said they had something fairly kind of big to show, and that is fairly big, because what's quite cool about that is they can actually change the OS in the... They just address the DSP via the kind of the iPad app, so, you know, like change the EQs and change... So that sounded like quite interesting there. So that was one thing on the iPad front. I know... But there's there's others, of course. Yes.
Can I jump in there? I mean, the point you're saying about embedded iPads, yes, there is many devices that come out with that, haven't they? But just I think what's quite interesting with the Mackie one there is that they're trying to sort of redesign the whole kind of how you interface in a live situation. And also, well, I know you're probably going to come on to the Line 6 thing. Were you going to mention that, Nick? The Line 6 live mixer, which is a very similar idea, although without an iPad embedded in it. It's got its own touchscreen, hasn't it? Sort of. But both of those devices have got a similar idea where it's very hands-on. It's very colourful and attractive as opposed to these kind of austere.
Well, I mean, not only that, Mackie have sort of entered the live arena with a force. Really, I mean, they've got these amazing speakers that are kind of intelligent and have
line 6. You mean?
Yes, sorry, Line 6. Yeah, and they're really kind of made a big push into that. I mean, I think the mixer that they brought out, which I don't remember the name because I didn't film it. The only thing I would say about that is it seems you're paying for the display, and it sort of seems a shame they didn't just use the iPad.
I have to say, Nick, though, I think for me that Line 6 mixer is the absolute star of the whole NAMM thing. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful design. Now they've really kind of gone a bit like they did with the pod. The pod resembled nothing when it came out, the kidney bean pod, and went on to be a complete sort of genre-defining tool. And I think they're now going almost from a year zero kind of approach into the live arena because they haven't got any, as far as I'm aware, experience in that world. So they've kind of, instead of that being a negative, they've kind of tried to go, right, okay, let's just completely approach live sound from, well, they were really pushing this idea of the two hemispheres of the brain, the clash that we get as, if like I'm a performing musician who often has to do the sound at the same time and absolutely hate it. And that's to do with these like two hemispheres kind of clashing, aren't they? There's the right side, which is the performing side, and then the left side, which is the technical side. So the whole Line 6 design ethos of this new mixer is based around this idea where it just is all about the musician brain. So it's all kind of icons and touch. Well,
what was really clever about it, isn't it? The way you could just kind of drag things to the stage. Here's the stage, my guitarist over here, this is over here, and it's supposed to be easy for people who are doing their own sound, like you say, while they're playing. That is a very smart, and they really kind of have spent a lot of time on the interface. I mean, they're very proud of that.
And I mean, it's very brave of them to bring a mixer out with no faders on. To bring a mixer on, to bring a mixer out that's got no faders at all, and just these kind of knobs which have got kind of changing LED, I don't know, coloured sort of knobs which kind of change depending on what's on the screen. I think it's the most beautiful, stunning piece of equipment, actually, the mixing desk.
I think it's not cheap, is it? I think it's going to be a couple of grand?
Yeah, 2,000 UK pounds, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot of cash. But it is quite a line, a mold-breaking thing, I would agree.
Well, and the way it connects with the mic, with the different speakers, there's this L6 link thing that they call it, and it's like a kind of digital. It's just a single XLR cable, just a regular XLR cable, but it carries this digital signal that can carry, I think, is it 8 audio signals? But it also it contains sort of data as well, which helps kind of. So, for instance, the speakers can automatically sort of adapt to the situation that you put them in. So if there's like two speakers on stage, it'll kind of work out that it's stereo. If there's a sub there, it'll kind of put the crossovers in for the sub. If you put one of their speakers on its side, it'll automatically identify as a monitor. So
Yeah,
it's so it's one cable, just connect, and then all that kind of thinking, and it is all done for you. I think really clever, fair dues. I really applaud that thinking. Brilliant.
Yeah, and I seem to have lost video from everybody. I don't know whether that's me.
Yeah, it disappeared. I've clicked it back on again. I don't know if that means you'll get it back.
I don't know. Let's have a look.
Sound quality suddenly changed for me.
Video is currently unavailable. Oh no, let's come back again. Gaz is back there. Let me come back to you. So yeah, that is certainly an interesting product of the show. I mean, just on the whole, though, I mean, the just to give you an idea of the sensation of what the show had to offer, it was it felt very upbeat. I mean, I think they reckon there were over 90,000 visitors to the show this year, which seems kind of up, and it felt really busy, but it wasn't full of people freakishly dressed and tattoos. I mean, although there was the usual content, it seemed like it was just full of people who were at trade, which is actually quite a big deal for NAMM, and there was a lot of upbeat sensation and feeling as a result. So, I mean, I think that was kind of pretty good. There is so much to go through. I mean, I've got a few highlights as well. I mean, it also felt to me like there's a bit of a year for analog as well, because I think if I play this video, you might be able to see what I was on about. Some of it, at least.
Mike Hosker here with Akai Professional and Sonic State Winter NAMM 2012. I'm here showing the Max 49 MIDI controller. It's a 49 key controller with 12 MPC pads.
Well, this is quite interesting, but where it gets really interesting is
analog module. If you'd want, you could
control voltage,
volt per octave. Yeah, volt per octave, and it's.
I'll cut there. So, it was actually more. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes there. I mean, it's just a regular controller, but it's also got CV and gate outputs, which is quite a big deal for somebody like Akai to be joining in the party with that. Are you still there, fellas, or have you dropped off?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, here.
Yeah,
I'm still here, yeah.
I don't know what's happened with the video there, but...
Have you lost the video? Then?
Yeah, it seems to have lost. I don't know whether there's some sort of... I think Skype does that when it feels like it, so it must have done it. So if I go to you, Mark, because you can just be a static icon. Any highlights for you? I mean, you were presumably seeing... I think you saw the Casio thing, didn't you? You were kind of quite excited about that.
Well, I've been following your Twitter feed, so the highlights for me... Well, yeah, the Casio, but then there was another Casio there, wasn't there? A sampler underneath that. Did you get to see that in the end?
I didn't. It wasn't ready, basically. It's going to be sort of coming along. I did get a little bit of information about it. I'm trying to remember what it was called now, but it was a red one, and it was much more less based around the accompaniment and sequencer, and more based around sampling and looping. So you can sample into it, you can load stuff on SD card, and you can create grooves and things based on the samples. Now, what that... XWG1, says Lagrange Audio in the chat room. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. That's going to be quite an interesting area. And it's funny, isn't it? Once again, I mean, Casio seemed to have basically got... That was a huge story. I went and filmed a little tiny bit on the first day just to sort of get a feel. And it wasn't a very good demo. I pulled it in the end, and I put something else up when I spoke to Mike Martin, who's the product manager, and he's just like full of excitement and enthusiasm. And I think there's going to be a lot more coming from them. So it's quite interesting, and also it's quite cheap. They reckon.
Did it sound good? It sounded good on the video.
Hold on. It sounded pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it was hard to tell. It's hard to tell exactly. I'm going to go to this. No, it's not a very exciting screen, but the video seems to have dropped off at the moment. It did sound pretty good, but I was a bit disappointed there wasn't the phase distortion thing in it. So they've obviously bunged a couple of waveforms in there, and the main synthesizer engine is in fact monophonic, which is a little bit disappointing.
He did also make a few minor faux pas, didn't he? Because he said it's got loads and loads of waveforms in it. It's got all the waveforms from the CZ series, like intimating that the CZ synth has lots and lots of waveforms in when it's only really got a handful of them.
Well, maybe the classic wave combinations, and the algorithms, perhaps, and they were
possibly.
But yeah, I mean,
if from the FZ range, you had an unlimited number of waveforms in that, because you could do that kind of resynthesis thing in there and the sign synthesis thing in the FZ1, which was really cool, which made it sound a bit like a synclavier if you got it right. So if it does that, that would be interesting. I mean, what?
I don't know.
Carry on talking.
No, carry on.
I was going to say, I mean, what interests me is if they've brought out what's essentially a synthesizer keyboard and a sampling keyboard, then are we going to see some of the other stuff that they used to do as well? Because they used to do sequencers and drum machines, and and I've got a Casio MIDI guitar still, which is excellent, I have to say, and worked really well. And it would be kind of nice if they brought out a more modern, up-to-date version of that did some other things as well. That would be really cool.
It would, and I think there's more to come. I mean, that's the feeling I got. I mean, I think, he sort of intimated that they were back and they had a lot of plans. So I think quite possibly that we are going to see more of that. I mean, and they are leaning quite heavily on their arranger kind of technology, of course, which is fine, and obviously there's some quite good stuff in there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be selling a bunch of those either. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see just how far synthy they go. The G1, which I looked at, had much more access to the synthesis parameters on the sort of the matrix that you see there on the that you did see on the Casio. So I mean, that's quite encouraging.
Oh, right.
Whereas because the Casio P1 had so much kind of arrangement and sequencing stuff, most of it, and part switching, most of the matrix control was dedicated to that, although you could assign the additional knobs. So there's quite a lot more there. So yeah, hopefully good stuff there. Let's see. Anything else catch your eye from the show there, Mark? I know there was, we got...
Me?
Yeah.
Ken MacBeth's Micro Mac looked interesting.
Ah, yes.
I thought that looked very interesting.
We just caught up with Ken just before he was on his way out, and I said, "You can't go. We're coming to film at the Analog Haven booth because we try and do a big sweep and do everyone in one go, and he was the first. So I think he, like many of us, including myself, was suffering from this kind of light cold that when you add it to the fatigue of the general fatigue of the show, really kind of wipes you out. So he did a grand job there. But yeah, they look good. And they sound lovely. I mean, it's not always easy to tell on the videos, and that was just coming out, but they do sound really nice.
I mean, he's a very interesting chap because he's one of my friends on Facebook, and I see pictures popping up from time to time of all these different sort of bits and pieces, and he really does make all of that thing himself, doesn't he? Like right down to printing his own circuit boards and everything. I mean, he had a picture of something with fluorescent tubes in it and some acid bath, which he was etching the circuit boards in on his Facebook page the other day, and I thought, wow, I mean, it really is a handmade synth that somebody's thought through and kind of come up with, what it should do and everything. So
he's a good he's a great photographer as well.
I'd love to get my hands on one of these at some point. Just to play with it for a while.
Me too. Yeah, I would.
So we should review it.
Yeah, maybe we should. I'll work on it.
Yeah.
Gaz, you were coming in then.
I was just going to say, I think that this is probably, with the analog angle, going to come onto the Arturia MiniBrute.
Yeah, now that was a surprise. Well, it wasn't a surprise to me because they sent me something beforehand, and I couldn't say anything.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cute. Very cute. I think we have a video somewhere, which I can probably... I mean, you're probably going to have seen all of this stuff, to be honest, but let me see. Where did I put it? I put the MiniBrute. Let's have a look.
Hi, I'm Mike Martin from Casio, and I want to welcome Sonic State to NAMM 2012.
This is it. Just constantly.
Charles.
Right, that's not working, is it? Video 5. We'll try that again. Sorry about this. I'm a bit untogether, and you're getting an awful lot of introductions.
Hi.
That's it. Sorry about that. I'm quite familiar with this introduction now.
Charles Rehill for Arturia, and
at NAMM,
that's one of those wave outputs
like
to give it a little more character and definition.
A CZ101
So, for example, on the saw,
and it's got a nice look, I have to say. I must admit. And I played with it a little bit, and the thing that I really liked about it was the fact that it's got this Stoner Parker filter. It sounded quite nice. I'm not sure about the waves. It's very hard to tell in that environment. I didn't know the headphones. I mean, it didn't feel like as weighty as perhaps the Moog or the Ken MacBeth, but why would it be? It's a lot cheaper. But yeah, it looks like kind of fun. A lot of people were quite psyched about it. So $500, that's got to be cheap for a synthesizer, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I think Arturia are just so. I mean, it's so interesting that they should come out with this standalone synthesizer. No presets, I don't think, is it? It's all just purely just like a live analog synthesizer.
That's right.
CV and gate interfacing again on that as well, isn't it? And the USB. So there's under £500. Desktop friendly as well, isn't it? It's kind of
yeah, there is a lot of that going on, isn't there? It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
I think also, as much as the iPad was sort of featured amongst many products, there was also quite a focus on analog, like I said, with the Akai Max 49 CV control, a new synthesizer from Moog. You know, lots of. And I know the analog guys downstairs at the Analog Haven booth were actually really psyched that Akai had finally done something along those lines. You know, and it just feels like there's a bit of a convergence coming into into analog, which is kind of encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. And is that fantastic? Sorry, Mark.
That 80s thing, I've got confused now. Let me start again. That Arturia thing looks like something from the 80s to me. It looks like
it's like an SH-101.
Well, no, but it looks like it's been moulded in much the same way as they used to make those Mattel Synsonics drum machines. So it's got that kind of squished kind of end look to it.
Right.
And then, but then it also reminds me of the Wasp as well. And have you? Nick has got a Wasp which has been modified with a real keyboard on it, and this thing looks remarkably like that actually. And that might even have been a kit that they brought out. Was it called No, it wasn't called a NAT, was it?
There was
that was
a NAT.
The sequencer, wasn't it?
No, NAT. There was a NAT.
Well,
the sequencer was the Spider.
Yeah, there was a NAT, but
sequencer was a Spider.
Oh right, okay.
Because it caught on the insect.
It does have a nice chunky sort of look to it, doesn't it? It looks like. It looks like something.
It's borrowed that kind of thing from the Mofo series, doesn't it? Where you can kind of feed the kind of audio signal back in on itself for a distortion.
Yes, it's got
effect.
the Brute setting, I think that is, and it sort of makes it more angry, so you get the feedback through the filter or through the amplification. I'm not sure, maybe it's a couple of things, but yeah, it's encouraging. I mean, I'm not massively blown away by Arturia stuff. I mean, I like the synthesizer side of it, but it doesn't have that extra weight to the oscillators to my mind, which is not always a bad thing. But I'm guessing something like this it'll be interesting to see what the waves actually sound like. You know, when you kind of can put them through a pair of speakers I recognise and just hear it. It's very hard to evaluate that in the show floor. But I did get a kind of 3 or 4 minutes just messing around with it and having a check. And I was pleased that I managed to stop there. But it does look like a lot of fun.
Arturia are on my eBay checklist because I want to buy that whole synthesis thing that they do. The plug-in thing. That's them, isn't it?
The Origin thing, is it?
No. What
they do like a kind of...
They do a modular V. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, but it's like a JX8P and a Prophet and something else all in one plug-in.
Oh, Analog Factory, is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
I think
with about 4,000 sounds in it.
Yeah, I did have that until I sold it recently.
Did you? I would have bought it from you.
Look at that.
I saw it, and it had the hardware controller with it. Yeah, it was neat. It was nice.
In the chat room, I'd just like to say, Koshtikai says he's selling his spare collection thingy. That's it. As far as I got, it's gone past. The chat room's flying by a little bit past.
Oh, okay. Tell him to email me.
There was keeping with the analog tip though. There was that 8-voice polyphonic analog. I'm trying to think what it was now. Someone was showing it, weren't they? Was it like a module? It was like a no, just like a kind of a really small. I saw Tom Oberheim sort of tweeting about it. I think.
I'm afraid I didn't see that. That's the part of the problem with this year is I didn't get to film everything because there was so much stuff to see. I didn't see everything, and I only got a very small amount of sort of wandering around, which is a bit of a shame because it means that tip-top audio poly module, somebody says, we've probably got that.
That's it.
Which I don't have. I think we've got it, but I didn't film that. I think Andy, we took a left and a right at Analog Haven, and I did everything apart from tip-top on one side. And
Did anybody get a chance? Did anybody get a chance to see that Parker Guitars auto-tune thing? Is that any good?
The PV one.
Parker.
Okay, PV then.
No,
yeah.
I don't know if we did. I saw something. I think there's a PV auto-tuned guitar. I think one of the lads saw that. It might be on, but it wasn't me that saw it. But it's quite an interesting idea for sure.
Well, if it's open to abuse, it could make some really interesting noises, couldn't it? I mean, if you can make it do things it's not meant to do, it could be quite fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I quite enjoy I've got a Line 6 guitar, and I quite enjoy turning all of the octaves upside down. So I'll put the strings alternately up and down octaves. So when I play a chord, just a power chord, it sounds roughly like a guitar might sound. But if you start playing lead solos on it just sounds completely disjointed, and it's really good fun.
Actually, I did see on that line there was the Roland V guitar, which was the Fender collaboration, which was the Strat with the V stuff in it, and that I know people probably go snore, but actually it sounded really quite good. And was pretty impressive, and I think they've been. I mean, it's one of the few things at Roland from Roland this year that really did blow me away. I mean, there wasn't an awful lot from them. There was an awful lot of pianos, and the TD30 drum kit was sounded pretty impressive as well. I think I posted something about the V guitar. Gaz.
And speaking of drums, so they got the two V drum kits that they were showing, weren't they? Like almost opposite ends of the spectrum, and you. Sort of entry-level one and then the kind of top-of-the-range one. But I have to say, I thought Alesis had some interesting, sorry to mention it, iPad-related things, but I thought that drum brain looked quite good. The DM, what was it called?
DM something. Again, it wasn't me who filmed that one, it was Andy.
But I get, because it's it's effectively like very similar to the DM dock, is it?
DM dock, was DM dock, yeah. I did see it, yeah.
And you and that's basically like a brain, sort of like a V-Drum's brain. It's got lots of audio inputs on it, but it also then you slide the iPad in. And I guess why those things are interesting to me is the fact, because it just, it's open to kind of just app developers. It's not a closed system. It's, as much as the iPad is not a closed system, but in terms
I wonder what the trigger latency is, because that's a really big deal. Because the other thing that we saw obviously was the Nord drum, and the Nord drum, the guys at Nord make D drum stuff, and the one thing that he was going on was when I went to see Thomas up at the Marriott Vice President's Suite, which was a very lovely place to do some filming. Although it's one of those rooms you forget how noisy everybody else is, because when you're on the show floor. You get loads of background, but when you're in an empty room, all it takes is somebody kind of moving and they're on a squeaky chair, and it starts to get really intrusive. It's quite bizarre. Anyway, the speed and the efficiency of the trigger was really, one of their primary focuses for the Nord drum. So yeah, but that looks really nice. Apart from the fact it's only got a mono output, which seems a bit of an oversight. I did ask about why that was, and they just said price. Just trying to keep the cost down, really.
Right. I mean, from what I could gather from the Nord thing, they were just trying to make it sort of almost drummer friendly, in as much as it's really, really simple. And I think that they're trying to do something that's very easily integrated into an analog drum kit setup.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that Nord have got that a lot of the other manufacturers haven't got is they've kind of got like an indie credibility. I think we've mentioned this before, but there's some, indie-type musicians who are a bit snobby about things like V-drums or whatever, but Nord has kind of got that credibility in that world especially. So, I can imagine those having a little niche market there, and those kind of... There's a lot of those bands in there, those kind of like indie sort of disco pop bands at the moment, and, and like little boo-boo Woo! Tina Maria.
I agree. I mean, the only problem is if it is true analog and it's true, well, analog modelled, there's going to be so much dynamic to the sound that it's going to be you're going to want to have some control over it for live, because it's going to be you're going to have to compress it, because you can't actually access the discrete stuff, which could be a bit problematic. I mean, because when I was asking, one of the flippant questions I said, "Have you blown any speaker cones yet?" And he said, "Well, actually, I have." And I was thinking, well, there you go.
Well, yeah. So hence the one out being a little bit of a Achilles heel, really.
Yes, I think so. There are people asking in the chat room, were Spectrasonics there? No, they were not. Spectrasonics weren't. Or they were. They weren't demoing. In fact, I remember we tried to get an appointment. Eric Persing was there because they won a tech award on the Saturday night. But there was no new stuff, and no Ableton either. But I did speak to somebody, and they did say they're just concentrating on working on Ableton 9, so that is going to be coming. I don't know whether or not that is down to maybe Music Messer. I'm not sure when it's going to be out there, but perhaps quite soon.
They're gonna have to get it out soon. I mean, I've been using Live a lot lately, and it is feeling along in the tooth, and sort of with Bitwig sort of snapping at its heels. It's
I met the guys
9
from
is going to have
actually,
to be. Cool.
Yeah,
were they demonstrating it?
No, I was drunk. It was at the bar on Saturday night when we have a drink. And one thing I would want to say, I haven't said, but a really, really, really big thanks to Mira Roberts, who came over. She was our local help, and she really did help us out loads, and was very kind with sort of bringing us all the medicines and wines and going out and getting the food takeout so we could carry on working. Invaluable help from Mira, and just want to say thanks and a big shout out to you. Hope I know she had a particularly late night on Saturday night too. We were all a bit wiped out on Sunday. I sort of lost my voice, but yes, I spoke to the Bitwig guys, and they were very upbeat. Actually, they said that they've still got a lot of work to do, but they said they've got some sort of they're working on getting distribution and getting in the channels, and they're kind of quite excited. But I did also talk to them about this idea of kind of this notion of we've spoken about it before, haven't we, where sequencers or bits of any piece of software gets so long in the tooth that after a while it loses its ability to be efficient, because it's got so many legacy issues and it's supporting everybody dragging it along with it, and that whole idea of the thing with the Mac OS X and them just sort of cutting the cord every kind of few years. And it sort of feels like that might be the only way to do things, really, because and they sort of thought that was quite interesting, but they were quite fired up and excited about it. But
I had an interesting experience the other day. A friend of mine rang me up and said, "My Mac's gone wrong. I can't load Pro Tools. I've got a bouncing icon in the dock. What do I do?" And I went over and fixed his system. And when I was fixing it, I realised he was running version 7 on the HD interfaces. And I said, "Why aren't you upgrading it?" And he said, "Because it's a tool and I use it a lot. And all of my clients have come in here and used this tool, and I want everything to come back sounding the same." And he's got no intention of changing it. Right. And he's just going to stay basically on Mac 10.4.5 with an HD rig on Pro Tools 7, and it does everything he wants it to do. And it's that feels interesting to me, because that feels like, like when a guitarist in the old days when I was a young lad, they'd get a guitar sound, wouldn't they? And they'd have their rig and they'd have their sound. And you got that guy to play in your band because he'd got a sound. Right, and it almost seems like this guy's studio has a sound, and it hinges around that system. And if he changed the system, everything would change. And so he's sticking with it. And to me, it makes like loads of sense.
It's like loads of sense.
Everything?
Boring.
It does make sense, but I think it also means that there is a certain amount of insecurity about that approach. It sort of implies that if anything changes, it's such a fragile environment and skill set that it won't translate. And I've been through that myself. And I think actually there comes a point where you just have to think, well, sometimes you need that.
How do you mean if anything changes? What about if nothing changes? What about if he just leaves everything as it is?
Well,
he
how do
doesn't
you
connect that machine to the internet.
Yeah,
so
they got it feature.
He's never going to update any of the internet stuff or any of the operating system or anything. It's just a tool, and it works standalone as it is.
Yeah.
And if he wants to, he's bought another computer so that he can run Lion on another computer with Ableton on it. So he's basically saying, no, that's that rig, and that does this job. And he's got another older rig that does another job, which is a Pro Tools rig. And it just makes sense to me to have, like, rather than upgrade, because you get so little money back for the thing that you're selling to upgrade anyway.
Just hang on to
that rig, and then just get another one, and kind of integrate. The
I think there's an element of that, but then once it becomes obsolete and nobody else, you can't load any projects on it apart from you've got a very, very specific niche and work, a client list that are going to use that. So yeah, I suppose that does make sense, but also it doesn't, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. It is an interesting point. But I mean, but in a way, for me, I mean, because I've just sold two of my computers. I've just gone from 2 computers to 1. My Mac Pro and my MacBook Pro have gone, and I've gone to a new one. So I'm in the opposite kind of boat. I'm a little bit disappointed as well by the performance of the new MacBook, in that it's just not as good as my Mac Pro, really, which I'm a bit gutted about. But yeah, but I mean, according to all the benchmarks and stuff, it was meant to be better. But anyway, really? But that's a blah blah blah.
That's bad news.
No, well, it's okay. The thing is, though, is that
maybe you've got something sitting there running in the background that you can throw off.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've done this migration thing where, I took my old laptop and I just plugged it in with the Ethernet to the new one, and then you just go system migrate, and it's exactly the same then. All the files on the desktop were in exactly the same place. So I think I have brought a bit of I'm going to do a fresh install now anyway. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to get onto that. I was going to say, though, the thing I am interested in, Nick, I have actually bought a Cuneo on the Kickstarter. So I saw the video that you had a go at the Cuneo, and I'm absolutely desperate to hear about it.
Well, for me, I didn't really have a go. I was just shown it. I mean, it looks, it's sort of quite low resolution, if I can put it that way. When you see it up close, although it will do all the things it does, because it's got so many LEDs on it and it's bus powered, there aren't enough LEDs to make the kind of beautiful, smooth visual transitions between sort of lower values and higher values. There might be 4 or 5 LEDs behind a fader, or maybe a few more, but not lots and lots. So you don't get that really sort of slick sensation.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly programmable. There is so much stuff going on underneath there, so many axes in which you can program things. That's going to be very interesting. I wasn't totally sure. I think that what I did find was I don't think it outputs the stuff it outputs, and you can configure it in a lot of different ways. That was one thing that was very clear. There are lots of different layers to it as well, so you can actually have a layer doing one thing, and the bank of controls can flip between several different sets of functions. So there's going to be an enormous amount of possibilities with it, and if you are going to take the time to set it up, then yeah, and it seems like a great value piece, because it's still. They didn't actually say, because I thought it was going to be more than the Kickstarter price, but actually I don't think it is. I think they're aiming to get it out.
No, I know,
at $250, which is great. Perhaps not so great, yeah. But the fact that you're Kickstarter, you're going to get it first. So I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it? And a lot of people were psyched about it.
So I mean, I've got a pad control here, which probably will go on eBay once the Cuneo comes. But actually, I took a load of stuff to somewhere to sell a load of equipment, and I took the pad control, and then I did a job, and I just realised how much the pad control was part of my workflow. Because I use it for
what are you doing?
I use it for all sorts of things.
Selling all the stuff you use every day. I mean, you sell the stuff you never use is what you need to do.
I know. Well, no, I thought, oh well, I'm getting the Cuneo in a few weeks' time, blah blah blah. But I realised I couldn't live without my pad control. So when the Cuneo comes, I should be interested to see if it will be what I hope and it's going to be. Which I use my pad control. I do put drums and different things in there like that. But I use it as like a kind of trigger for all sorts of purposes, really. So, I'm seeing, I think the kind of thing that really interests me with the Cuneo is that each pad can transmit, is it 4 different musical notes?
Yes, it's got different corners of pressure and pressure in different areas as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love building kind of like instruments out of using Ableton Live as the kind of hub, and then having lots of sort of plugins running, and then just sort of having it transmit MIDI in a really interesting way to the different instruments. So, yes, so when I get it anyway, I shall make some videos of it and things, so everyone can have a look at what I'm up to with it. But I was very interested to see that. So.
I think I should do an ad. I forgot about this. It's time for our word from our sponsors. We met up with Yamaha at the show. Yamaha UK, Yamaha US, once again, didn't show up for their appointments, you bad boys. But fortunately, my contact over there did, and he told me about the new Yamaha mixers, which are quite interesting, these sort of digital analog hybrids. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the new the Yamaha Pocket Tracks. Yamaha, obviously, sponsors of the show. We very much appreciate their support. The C24 and the W24 are what we're talking about. And both of these are just super compact 24-bit 96K PCM recorders with enormous length of time. They use micro SD. They've got all sorts of extra features. The W24 comes with a remote control, which is very handy if you're in a live situation. You can leave it on top of something and just pause and record throughout a gig if that's what you need, or even playback, I suppose you could use it for if you wanted to. 24-bit 96K, superior battery life, up to 38 hours of PCM recording, high capacity storage, XY configured stereo microphone, peak limiter for optimum recording, quick start, ready to go in 4.5 seconds, which is actually quite a big deal. So you're never going to miss anything, or at least certainly miss a lot less. Onboard speaker for quick and convenient way to check recordings. Practice aids, tuner and metronome. Comes with Cubase AI5. So do check them out. C24 and W24, both very utilitarian and useful handheld recorders. I know Dave Robinson, Pro Sound News Europe, swears by his, and he does a lot of interviews and all sorts of things with it. But do go check them out. If you're in the UK, go to a Pulse store, which is one of the stores within stores where you can try this out. Maybe take some RAM down, or some memory down there, copy it onto a USB stick, record some stuff, take it home, see what you think of it, see how it works for you. And if you're in the US, go to one of the major dealers and check it out. So once again, we thank Yamaha for the continued sponsorship of the show. Very much appreciated. So, what was next? There was a couple of other things. I haven't made any notes.
Can I talk about?
Yeah, Mark, you talk.
If we're on recorders, let's go to the Aurea 48-track recording system for iPad.
Yes.
How unbelievable is that?
It's pretty amazing. I think I've got a video. Let me see if I can find it. I think it might have been this one. It might not, though, in which case you're going to get the memory. You're going to get it all over again.
Hi, my name is Lev Perry. I'm here at NAMM 2012.
It's not. That's the Universal Audio, which I do think is really awesome, actually. Is this it? Oh, for God's sake. It must be this one,
what's
then.
up? This is Jim.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm being a bit untogether, but I knew I should have made some notes. So it must be this one. Yes, here we go. Badly edited by me, though. Terrible.
All right.
So I'll just flick through a couple of these. This looks lovely. Wave Machine Labs. It's got plugins, channel strip from PSP, and some. I think you're going to be able to do a lot of in-app purchasing for other plugins, and it did look great. And what the reason it's so efficient, I spoke to them. The reason it was so efficient is because they started this idea when the iPhone first came out, and they realized that it was so massively underpowered. But during that process, they got some really efficient code. It's all in the machine code. It's really low-level coding, so it's incredibly efficient, which is why they can get all of this power out of it. And it is quite an impressive thing. And he also said that they plugged in class-compliant, I think it was a PreSonus interface, and they recorded 18 channels of audio directly into the iPad as well at 44.1 using a class compliant.
It's just mental, isn't it?
Which is kind of mental. But I have to say, and it looked wonderful. You could do all the editing stuff. But my question would be, why would you want to do that on an iPad? It's almost like taking, I've got a 19-inch or I've got a 24-inch screen for a reason. It's because it's easier to work with large audio projects and move things around. Why do I want to do this on an iPad? Gaz? Or no, Mark, you brought this up. You justify it.
Why do I want to do it on an iPod? Just because I can.
Yeah, well, that and I think that is almost
just the whole idea. The whole idea for years, it was, when I first started doing this, I had a PowerBook 5300, and Logic came out with a Logic audio version that would let me record 4 tracks of audio on that machine. And then it was the 5300. No, it was a 540C, sorry, a PowerBook 540C. I could record 4 tracks, and then they kind of upgraded to PowerPC, and then I dropped to like 1 or 2 tracks on the laptop. So, I used to kind of record vocals and things and do them in hotel rooms and stuff, and it was like kind of a revelation to me in itself that I could go and record someone in a hotel room or in a wood or a field or something. But then, having multi-track audio on a PowerBook in the last few years has been a revelation in itself, that you can just open up a PowerBook somewhere with a decent audio interface and you can just do stuff with it. But like just this shift in format to sort of like an iPad, it's just because you can do it. It's just.
I suppose. Well, one thing they did also say.
I just love the idea of.
One thing they did also say that.
I just love the idea of turning up with. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No, carry on.
I just love the idea of turning up with something that small, pulling it out of your bag and going like, right, come on, then here's a recording studio, because it just twists the whole concept of what a recording studio is. That's why I like it.
I did that. I was doing that last week, actually. I was recording a bunch of street poets, and I just turned up with my iPad and a little audio interface through the camera connection kit, and did that, really. And we just sort of improvised a little kind of studio setup using sort of some duvets and things, and just to get a nice warm sound. So it's brilliant.
Well, fair. I think that's fair enough. I think the one thing that they did say, it's akin to, it has the same sort of power as a Power PC, do you see what I mean? It's sort of like a DAW from 1990, and that was quite interesting. But well,
it must be way beyond that.
Well, maybe I
way
can't remember the
exact.
I can't remember the exact. Maybe not 1990. But
that would be a bit rubbish.
I don't know. I think. The idea
if it was like a DAW from 1990, I'd be throwing it across the room and throwing chairs at it and crying. That's what I remember doing with that.
I suppose. Okay. Well, I think the thing that I would say about this is, obviously for recording multiple tracks, maybe quite cool, as long as you want to work in 44.1, because that's all you can do in the iPad at the moment, and maybe mixing those slightly. But the stuff that you want to do, the kind of real tweaky stuff, is going to be a pain in the proverbial, isn't it, to do on something like this?
Well, the thing I was confused about, though, was that they said that they were doing that it was 44, was it, and 48, but they said it was 24-bit. Now, I thought that you couldn't do 24-bit audio on the iPad. That was something that Apple hadn't actually sort of allowed the developers access for. So that was quite interesting.
Or maybe he let something slip. Who knows?
I thought that was a bit of a...
There's another thing that's interesting about it as well, which has great implications for any of the iPad or iPhone app users, and that's that it runs VST plugins. So VST plugin support. I don't think anything else does that yet, but it's doing VST standard on iOS.
Is it?
So...
You're not...
Yeah.
Well, it is. It kind of is. I've been looking into this because I thought that was really, really interesting. Because there is there's going to be some plugins for it from FabFilter, from Overloud, PSP as well. So some really good plugin manufacturers on board. But it's not a straight port at all. It's it's not. I think what it is they are having to sort of somehow translate it into the VST format that it can recognize, so it's not a straight VS. So I think
is it
so
another
it's some kind of a wrapper.
Or they're having to convert it somehow,
right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's the way it's going to be, but that's what I gather that those particular plugin manufacturers have done. That sort of wave machine. What are they called? Waver. I
can understand why they would. Wave Machine Labs. I understand why they would do that, but I imagine, I was talking. sorry, I was talking to MacDSP, and the thought of having to recode for another plugin. I mean, because he's got to deal with the AAX thing, which they say, yeah, sure, it's simple, but it's never simple. It's always tricky. It's a lot of work for anybody.
If it ran VST plugins off the, out the box,
yeah,
it just pulls in a huge pool of resources out there of stuff that people have coded, all the free stuff and all the interesting kind of weird stuff that makes sounds that you probably wouldn't want to use in anything other than one tune, But that's all the experimental stuff. If it pulls all of that into the iPad, that would make it really interesting.
Yeah, it would. But I don't think that is quite the case, unfortunately. So unless it's a simple process, because I'd imagine the graphics have to be tweaked as well. So it's it's not I can't imagine it's that straightforward. But yeah, that was interesting. There was other iPad related stuff. I'm trying to think what any of them were at the moment. Well, apart from the
a number of people who were doing that thing, as you mentioned earlier, about the embedded one. Mackie was showing a range of new mixing desks, weren't they? Again, that the iPad sort of sits within, and it got me thinking about how it's just so much cheaper for equipment manufacturers to do that, isn't it? Rather than having to, license that technology.
Well, yes,
they're making a big assumption. Yeah, making a big assumption that a big part of their target audience are going to already own iPads. Otherwise, it puts considerable expense on the products.
They probably are. I mean, the thing is that there was also Newmark did their iDJ Pro, which was a lovely looking thing, big sort of dual deck DJ control surface and audio interface, and you just plug your iPad into that, and it gives you this huge interface for running the software for mixing, and it means you can. The other thing that's cool is you can use AirTunes to send your audio out to the world, so you don't need any wires. Speaking of which, there was another thing called Y Digital, which was a 2.4 gigahertz digital audio system, which had several components. There are two little components. I think I haven't got the video set up here, but it came in two flavors. You have the 2-part, which is just a stereo line to stereo line, but it can take mono and has adapters for guitars and things, so you can use it for those. They call it Pro, but it was still on 8th mini jack, so it wasn't really. And then another one which had two mics, which one was a headset mic, and one was another mic you could mic up maybe your guitar. And then also there were other things. There was a little thing that plugged in the bottom of the 30-pin connector on the bottom of your iPad or iPhone, which would transmit the audio wirelessly to the base station, which means you could go, So this is getting towards, where your excitement is, certainly on the wireless system, and that's going to be the case pretty soon. Y Digital Systems, and I think they were like 190 quid or something for the stereo one, and you get different, there's different flavors. So I'm not sure what. No, $190 actually. So probably considerably less.
Well, that's for both sides. That's for the transmitter and the receiver.
Yeah, and
do you know what bandwidth it is?
2.4 gigahertz.
Sorry,
so it's 2.4, and there's no issues with frequencies, and it's also true diversity, so it has 40 channels of potential. So they're it's actually that's the pro side of it. So that's starting to look quite interesting. So you can plug one of those in the bottom of your iPad, and you're good to go. I mean, because we use these EMU pipelines, which are fine, but they're a bit a bit finicky. They've only got 3 channels, so something like this would be a great help. A great help. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, the quality then, the actual audio quality that it transmits then, I'm not quite sure. Is it transmitting it
at full rate?
It's an analog, because it's taking it. It's not. They're not like digital.
2.4 gigahertz is digital technology, so it will be digitizing it. I don't think it's being compressed. Don't think so.
Okay. Do you know what sample rate it's digitizing that then?
That's a good question. I think he said it was 48. I think he said, but I'd have to double check that. If you go to I put the story up on it. It was one of the things that we got from the NAMM preview day, which was the Wednesday. Let me see. I might be able to find that quickly.
And are the batteries? Are they
double A's?
2.4 gigahertz, the same as Wi-Fi?
Similar area, yeah. Not it's in the range.
In the same range, yeah. Is do you know? And it's lithium batteries in there. Are they like sort of built-in rechargeable batteries into those things?
Yes, they were. Actually, come to think of it, they were rechargeable. They weren't lithium-ion.
Okay.
They weren't. Sorry, they weren't. Which I always think is a bad move. I think you should just use not rechargeables because they always run out after a while. In my opinion, but.
What about? I think they should use mobile phone batteries because you can get them plentiful and cheap on the internet, can't you? So I don't know why they don't. Because big capacity.
Well, I'll tell you what we use live. We use the lithium-ion blue one. I'll see if I can find one here quickly.
It's half the size of an AA battery, is it? Where's it gone? There's a battery which is a lithium-ion battery, which is either a full-size AA with 3.7 volts in it, I think.
Right.
So you can use one of those for every 2 AAs.
We use these
roughly.
Energizer lithium ions. They are absolutely brilliant. They last. In fact, I put a pair of each in my Sennheiser radio mics, which I used all day for 4 days, and they still haven't run out. So,
well, are they're non-rechargeable though.
These are non-rechargeable, but they are incredible. We can't use rechargeables in our radio mics because they don't provide enough current. Mm-hmm. These things are brilliant, and so I use basically 6 batteries for the entire show. That's for my Zoom and for 2 Sennheisers. Which is amazing, really. And so I would.
They're just lithium, aren't they? That's not lithium-ion, Nick. It's the same as a high-end camera battery, isn't it?
Is it? They're called Ultimate Lithium.
So it's a non-rechargeable.
Yeah,
yes, lithium.
Ultimate Lithium. Yeah. So they're really good.
Because there's an alarm battery, a 3.7 volt lithium-ion alarm battery, which is I can't see what you're showing him actually, but there's one that's the same as an AA battery, which you can use and recharge, and it gives like incredible amount of. Are you using AAAs or AAs?
Double A's, yeah.
I'll send you a link to this other battery. You might be interested in trying. I can't believe it.
John Bowen has just said in the chat room, "Hey Nick, 8 weeks till Mesa." Jesus Christ, that's a bit soon. I better start putting those packages. That's one of my first jobs is to start putting the Mesa packages together so we can afford to go because it's an expensive show. That I also want to say happy birthday to Dave Smith Instruments. I swapped by the stand and said hi to Roger and Dave, and got one of these delightful Dave Smith shot glasses, 10 years. Together with some Don Julio tequila in it, which saw me through the rest of the day. Very nicely, so I want to say happy birthday there. That was very, very sweet. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say, really. There's just so much of this. I mean, I can't believe how quickly this is going. It's definitely flies by, even though it's completely improvised. I'm just having a look on the website a second. We'll see what's hot, what's trending at the moment on our website, because I've been putting a load of other stuff. Oh, yeah, Akai MPC Fly is one of the hot ones.
I mean, Akai, didn't they have a strong...
They certainly did.
Yeah, strong range from Akai.
I'll tell you what,
really
Akai, there were two areas in the... there were 3 areas. There was the main stand, which had a Alesis, Newmark, and a bit of Akai, and then they had this little tiny other stand, which was pure Akai, MPC, Renaissance, and the 3 models, and it was rammed the whole time. We went there, we had appointments to do all the kind of product run-throughs, and we couldn't get anywhere near it for ages. We had to go and do all the other stuff and then keep coming back to see if there was anyone there, because there were artists, there were sort of... In fact, there's a chap called Andy Mack who did the Renaissance demo for us very kindly. Great demo guy, actually. And he was talking to a really beautiful R&B singer. And I couldn't blame him for not sort of catching my eye and going, I'll be with you in a minute, because she was absolutely gorgeous. So when I went back and he gave me this great... And it actually, looking at it and getting a demo of the Renaissance, the whole vibe of it, it's very interesting, actually. It's a lot more... It is a lot more well thought out than I thought perhaps it was. It doesn't seem like it's kind of, let's get the machine users. It's actually got VST plugin support, audio unit plugin support on pads, on groups, on programs, all sorts of ways that you can affect it up. And lots of... they've really retained the MPC workflow, which I think is something that's obviously very critical. They haven't just cashed in on the MPC brand name, so it's kind of be an interesting battle, I think, because that's a real viable alternative to Machine for sure. Let me see what else was there. I'm sorry about this. The video just isn't working today, and I don't know what it is. Maybe there's some sort of Skype issue. I keep trying to switch it on, but it just won't do it, so I can't show you there. John Van Eaton wants me to play the Casio video. I've already done that, John, and we've already talked about it. So you can always see it on the site because it's there in full effect. I was just looking for something else. Affordable stuff. Yes, it's the... Let me see if I can find it. Why Digital. I was going to put that link in the show notes. There we go. We Digital Systems, and they've got a load more stuff coming as well. Apparently, there we go.
Did you see the KDJ one? That thing that looks a bit like a Game Boy music workstation.
I think we saw that last year. I remember filming something on that last year.
Okay,
I think if it's what I think it is. KDJ1. It was a prototype. I think it was a prototype.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's prices up of it now and stuff, and multi-touch screen.
Yeah, no, we looked at it last year, and it looked kind of fun. But, I mean, again, it's like, well, I'd sort of rather have something else. I'd rather have it a whole lot rather than, all of that. But, yeah, that's exactly, that is the same.
$799, $829 with the Wi-Fi.
Right.
So, quite expensive when compared to maybe like an iPad, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it doesn't, it looks all right. It was exciting when I saw it last year or the year before, but now it's not so exciting, I suppose. Oh, yeah, Teenage Engineering, the Op Lab, we saw that, which was essentially just an Arduino type connection kit for hooking up all sorts of things. That was kind of fun.
The tray was just a bit of a joke.
Yeah, well, I said that they should definitely sell it with the tray because the tray was cool. But they said, no, not going to. I said, what I actually want is the machine that made the tray. That was really cool. But, yeah. Anyway, they're very kind and very very helpful. In fact, I got good kudos from them for the review I did of the OP1, so I went and got shiny fingernails with them. They're very pleased with that. Gosh, what else is there? I mean, there was... The thing is there was a lot of stuff here, and that's the thing that I kind of found quite appealing. I mean, we haven't even covered any of the guitar stuff, really. There was a lot of guitar stuff as well. The chaps are going to be posting that, continuing to post that as the week goes on. They're currently in Santa Monica enjoying the sunshine, which has now come out. But yeah, I think...
I'm interested in the guitar stuff.
Yeah, I just can't remember what it is. It's all there. It's probably on Amped. It will be on Amped.
It's a new kind of...
Sorry.
Go on.
No.
Go.
Okay. There's a new digital guitar thing which has like what almost looks like an iPad built into the front of it, which looks really interesting.
Oh, the
which
guitar
I think came out.
Yeah, I saw that at the Mesa.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Did you see one of those?
No, I saw it at Mesa. I didn't get a chance to go and see it again. I did see a Waldorf Pulse 2 in as a sort of prototype, but it wasn't playing, so they weren't. They didn't let me demo it. Flux 302 says he didn't sound like him when he played it. Huh. Oh well.
And you saw the new Chaos oscillators and Chaos pad things?
Oh, yes, the Chaos pad. They were cool. I think I've got those. Yeah. I think this might be them. Let's play them. In fact, let's do that. Let's see if I can play that, because that was a really cool little thing. That's a nice little feature.
Hey, what's up? This is James Ajiva with Korg USA, and we are here at the NAMM booth with the new Chaos products. Check them out. We've got the new Chaos Oscillator 2. And the Mini Chaos Pad 2. Now, those of you who know about the original ones, the Chaos Oscillator is the synth with looping capabilities, and the Mini KP2
I'll just
is the
fast forward that.
Now, in addition, so everything.
It's got an MP3 player in it. It's got all sorts of stuff
here,
actually. And you can record into it.
The MP3s
so I like the look of that. That looks like kind of fun, and no doubt we'll try and get hold of that for review. Because they do look like a whole bunch of fun actually. Gosh, John, you're being
Someone
very
just
critical.
said in the chat room that.
Yeah.
Someone said in the chat room that Roland have done a new Varax, but I don't understand that because Line 6 do a Varax, or have we now got a Line 6 stroke technology and Roland technology in the same guitar?
No, it's not. What
because
it is,
if we have, where's the link? I want one.
It's a V guitar. It's a V guitar, and it's purely modelling, and that is
Varax.
it's a Fender Strat model with the Roland V guitar stuff in it, and it did. I heard it demoed, and it did sound really good. And I spoke to the chap, I forget the name of the guitarist, and he said, and I said, "What about latency?" He said, "I wouldn't even be bothering demoing it if if there was any latency at all." And it did, and I must admit that was quite impressive. And that whole tuning thing was kind of interesting. V guitar, I think, is going to give them a run for their money. Sorry.
Is it what models does it have in it? Does it have some interesting guitars modelled in it?
I'm just trying to remember what it had.
In the same way as the Line 16 does, or?
Yes, but I don't remember what they all were. I think it's all the classics, some good acoustic ones as well. I can't remember. I really can't remember what they were. I do remember the prices. It was about $900 up to about $1,200, maybe a bit more. So not actually.
Okay, that's all right.
Not too bad, you know.
But it's interesting, isn't it? How
to have both the MIDI thing and the Varax kind of thing in the same guitar. That would work for me.
Yeah, I think it does, doesn't it? With if you plug it into the what's it called, the VG99 thing, then it does actually sort of.
There is the lower priced of the two has or maybe it's the more expensive price, has the V guitar has a V hex pickup output that you can output MIDI from as well. So
right.
I think so I think it's, you know, what's quite funny about those instruments though is that they are they're very conservative looking Stratocasters, aren't they? They're very, you know, they're obviously made by Fender.
The big news is they've teamed up with Fender. I mean, that's the really big news. They've got the Fender brand, so it's a Fender guitar with
Fender have been offering Roland Ready ones for years, though, haven't they? They have had this kind of, they've had it going for a long time where they've been working together. I think just the V guitar maybe just takes it one step further, really.
Perhaps so.
I'm not convinced that I would. Why can't they go and team up with Paul Reed Smith or something and make proper guitars?
It's the power of the brand, I think. I mean, we went to the press conference on the Wednesday night, and but the whole thing, Mark, was
Fender guitars are made in China.
Yeah, but the whole thing was designed to create a new product category for Roland, which is V guitar. Which, so they're pushing that real hard. I mean, that's what they want to do. And the power of both brands may well make that happen. I mean, I would call the Line 6 V guitars, but they've been around an awful lot longer. And I think, I don't know what the...
Line 6...
Sorry, Gaz,
Line 6 totally missed a trick, really, with the Varax. I've got a Varax here myself, and just not having MIDI in it, because it's got effectively a hex pickup in it, you know. I don't know why they've done that. I think they were probably they really cultivated a very much a guitar audience.
That's probably true,
Yeah, I don't think it worked. The hex pickup works in quite the same way, though, because it's a modelling kind of thing, isn't it? So the way that it picks up from the string... I don't think that's the same as the MIDI.
Yeah, it's got six in the bridge. There is 6 independent piezos, and then it's just, you know, by virtue of having that in itself, then, you know, you could then effectively.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I've got a Varax here as well. I would love to fit a Roland MIDI pickup to it, but I'm not quite sure where the electronic stop will start.
Yeah,
and if I start drilling holes in the front of it, it might not work anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Got to be careful with that sort of thing. And also, I also want to say a quick hello to Kiwi Steve, who I met in person on Sunday night at the Marriott, where we were having something to eat. He showed up with his son, Sheldon. They were showing some amazing guitars. They had these 2 guitars. One was made of aircraft grade steel, like a hollow, in a sort of ZZ Top style guitar, wow. And the other one was titanium in a kind of Telecaster style. And I'm not a guitarist. I mean, both Rob and Rich checked them out, and they were amazing. I think they were called Bad Seed guitars. And he was over there showing them to some really big stars who would just go gaga over them and have ordered loads. I think and that was really. It was just great to meet up with Steve. He bought me a beer. I don't know if he's in there today. He's probably still there actually. I think he's coming back on Friday. But they were doing it right.
Did they still have wooden necks?
Yes, they have wooden necks, and the necks go right through the body. And the thing is it's not solid titanium; it's sheet titanium that's welded. It's cut and welded, and the welds you just can't see them at all. You can't see anything, and there's a sort of slight resonance to them because obviously they're hollow and they're lighter than standard guitars as well. But they've still got the same pickups. I think he had Seymour Duncan's.
Was Kiwi Steve making them?
No, his son makes them.
Oh wow! Okay. Wow.
So his son makes them, and he was over there just kind of helping out and doing the driving. Yeah, it was. We're hoping, and I don't know if this is the case. We're hoping that Rich and Rob are going to hook up with him and his son later in the week and go up and see 65 amps and maybe film some pieces with that and check out what they sounded like amplified, because they're beautiful. Beautiful guitars. I mean, I think his son actually makes like racing cars, so he's like an engineer, works with metal all the time. So I think the guitars is a sideline, and I think he does very well out of that business. And the guitars is a sideline, but they are absolutely beautiful. And in fact, they said a certain very fussy guitarist had ordered 2 of them, and usually his guitar tech says it takes us like 6 months to set up any guitar that he buys that's custom built to his taste. But this one came right out of the box and played first time, which is actually a fairly major accomplishment. So he's obviously a bit of a perfectionist. And he was they were lovely blokes, both of them. And Sheldon's a very handsome man, actually. And I must admit, it was like he's just born to be in LA selling guitar, making classic guitars. I don't have links to those guitars, anybody, I'm afraid. I think they're all purely custom. They don't make them, they only make them to order. So we're hopefully going to get our hands on one, and the lads can try them out.
What do they have a name though?
Bad Seed. They're called Bad Seed.
Oh, Bad Seed. Okay.
Bad Seed.
Oh, Nick, there was something I thought was fantastic that I was really excited about. Made by a British company, Sonus. Those are they're the guys who make the little the G2M and the B2M and the I2 USB guitar to MIDI interfaces and stuff. They've just done a little like a wah-wah pedal, but I think it could be of interest to all musicians, not just guitarists. It's a twin analog filter, but with a digital control, and it's got a built-in expression pedal, and you can store store memories into it. But I think what looked really for me, why that looked fantastic was that. It's one of these great hybrid products which is using the best bit of analog and the best bit of digital in one kind of unit, and it's just got a real nice look to it. I think it's called the Wahoo, the Sonus Wahoo.
Ah, what those? And, okay, we'll check. I did walk past, but I didn't see anything that caught my eye. But I should have obviously looked harder.
Oh yeah, I think it looks great. I think, as I say, I definitely want one. I definitely want one because I've been playing around with different filters and for live with my bass guitar for many years, and I've come close to things. My current favorite is my Electro-Harmonix Enigma, which is really cool, but it's got no memories on it, and it's quite. Oh yeah, and that Wahoo is it's got LFO and it's got envelope and it's got sort of like expression pedal. So I think that's. And I'm sure that would be wicked for synthesizers as well. I think it just because it's very configurable and it's got a dry and wet sort of blend controller on there as well. So
I'll have to check it out. So yes, well, while we're talking, the site's doing very nicely. In fact, again, what's hot at the moment? The new Behringer CMD controllers. Very funny that they should be called CMD controllers and are modular USB controllers, whereas the Steinberg ones are CMC controllers. Just seems a little cynical. iPad digital mixer, that's big as well. The Stephen Slate digital stuff seems to be doing all right. What else? DSP louder. Samsung's new USB keyboards, that was pretty hot as well, I have to say. I thought that is a lovely...
they look
really
high
quality.
Nice, didn't they?
Really high quality, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Very impressed.
Great for the money.
Yeah. $199 with an aftertouch keyboard. Just astonishing. Ozone 5, yeah, I saw Ozone 5 got a really good demo. DP-Tronic in the chat rooms. Yeah, that was a lovely demo, actually. It really kind of blew me away. It's like, wow, that's really, really awesome.
Been using it for a good few weeks now, Ozone 5. Yeah. And I'm getting such great results with Ozone 5.
It's just all of that graphing and the way that they've compressed, just all that information you can get out of it. It's just astonishing. Right. Well,
that is the advanced version, mind.
Right. Advanced version is a bit more of an investment for the average person. Anyway, I think we're going to call it a day. The video of Skype never did come back, so the video of this show is going to be a lot less interesting to watch on YouTube. But I want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining us, and once again, thanks to everybody in the NAMM team. That's Rob, Rich, Andy, of course, and Trev and Mira, and very nice to see everybody over there. And a big shout out to Aaron as well, who joined us on Saturday night. Was unfortunately joined us just in time for me to say I've really got to go, and sort of stumble blindly out of the bar. But I got away with it. Managed to get up the next morning without feeling too grim. So that was encouraging. Not sure why that would be encouraging. What does that mean? My liver is anyway. My tolerance is. Anyway, I am rambling now. But anyway, thanks very much to everybody in the show. Thank you very much, Gaz Williams, soulsurgeon.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining us. We can't see you at the moment. We can only see your static Skype icon, but thank you very much. And also thank you to Mark Tinley there, another icon, because our Skype video is not working for some reason. And next one, I don't know if it will be. We might even be doing it from the new office. I'm not sure. It might not be soon enough. Might not have got the network up for that. But that's our next task, is to move.
When is your next one?
Well, Wednesday.
When is? Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah, next
Easter
Wednesday.
on half term from Monday the 13th to Friday the 17th, and Gina's working in Bristol quite a lot. She's in Bristol today, actually.
Okay.
She rang me up this morning and said, "What's the postcode for Sonic State?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because I've got 2 Bristol postcodes in the sat-nav, and one of them's where I'm meant to be going, and the other one's probably where you went."
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, it's not Bristol, yeah.
So, no, well, Bath, yeah. But close, isn't it?
Close
she
enough.
was on the
certainly a lot closer than your house, yeah.
Maybe I could come and visit you on the 15th.
More than welcome to, yeah. Of course.
If you've moved by
we
then.
might. Yes, we may have moved by then. By the 15th, I would think we would do. I bloody hope so, because, well, we'll be out of here then. We'll definitely have moved, because we've got to be out here by the 10th. So definitely will have moved. Anyway, that was Sonic Talk number 252, the post-NAMM thing. And thanks ever so much for all the viewers watching, and thank you very much for everybody we met at NAMM and all the people who gave us good video and what have you. So that's it. That's end of Sonic Talk number 252. Thank you very much. It's a wrap.